Welcome to today's Research Business Daily Report, where we present an exclusive interview with the heads of CASRO and MRA, following those associations' joint announcement of a potential merger. RBDR is sponsored today and this week by Nuance, offering multi-language verbatim coding services that help their clients quantify the meaning of open-ended answers. Nuance is a decision analyst company. Anyone on the vendor agency or data collection side in our research business who's been active in the industry for, let's say, a decade or longer knows the arguments for a handful of research associations' existence. But member concerns about the cost of memberships in multiple agencies for years have been really talked about over and over again. And it doesn't take a business analyst to recognize the duplication of effort that must result from several research agencies doing their best to properly represent their constituencies. So much can be made about the joint CASRO-MRA announcement the week before last, and we reached out to CASRO President Diane Bowers and MRA Chief Executive Officer David Almy to kind of clear the air with us. They happily agreed to speak about this proposed merger, how it came about, what it hopes to accomplish, and the roadblocks that still need to be overcome. Diane, how much overlap is there between the memberships of CASRO and MRA?
Well, David and I think it's less than 1/3, meaning of companies and individuals from the same company that is a CASRO member.
How long has this proposed merger been in discussion?
David?
Well, for most of 2015, probably fair to say, back and forth between both sides.
Okay. Was there any particular event or reasons that prompted it to happen now?
I think that both MRA and CASRO have felt that we could not invest as much of our resources into our advocacy bucket that really benefits the whole industry, not just our own members, but the industry at large.
Okay. And the overlap can get into things like, for instance, your legal representation in Washington. As I understand it, there is already a little bit closer collaboration between your respective representatives covering these areas as there was before.
That's true. Bob, I've had a chance to walk through all the products and services that we offer and all of them that CASRO offers, and it's a really wonderful exercise because I think a lot of what we do is complementary to CASRO and vice versa. And when you combine both into one, you get a very rich, and I mean that in a good way, a rich value proposition for the association and the combined organization. I think there's been a realization that's formed up probably subtly over the last few years that common sense would indicate that if we're working on largely the same challenges, that greater resources, two heads are better than one message is better than two, perhaps, can be beneficial to the industry and profession. I also think there's probably some expectations that are going up with regard to the community that we all share and care about so much. So,
Diane?
Well, I think that CASRO and MRA are both national associations here in the U.S., representing on one side the professional and on the other side the business, the agency side. And it seems to me you cannot proceed in representing the U.S. research industry without being sure that both of those sectors are reflected in any decisions that are made.
Mm-hmm. What kind of reaction have you had from your memberships about this announcement? Because as I understand it, they were not aware of this, taking place until an announcement came out.
We both expect there to be some resistance, particularly from individuals and companies that are longstanding members that really are loyal to the organization that they belong to. And surprisingly, we've had very, very positive, at least in CASRO, very, very positive response.
David?
I think there's been surprise and enthusiasm from our folks. I've had a chance to look through all the feedback that we've gotten via email, and it's overwhelmingly positive and sprightly, I'd have to say, which has been fun and exciting. I think people are. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Is there a timetable for this thing to finally be put together?
We're thinking that there's no official timetable because, as you know, when you get into the weeds of it and work through all of the tactical issues, and that you could hit some roadblocks, and we have to work through things, and we want to give ourselves time to do it right. So there isn't a timetable, but it is something that we felt we wanted to be fully transparent with both of our constituents, so that they could be a part of the process.
It would seem to me that each of you, in the conversations you've had that led up to the merger potential announcement, have to have worked through a lot of the issues already.
I think it's probably true. I think that the boards and Diane and I have probably covered a lot of the big issues first. And then there's 1,000 details that you have to cover. I was talking yesterday to our chapter presidents all over the country, and there was concern about, even so far as branding issues and the mechanics, mechanics at that level. So there's a lot of work left to do. We've both got a set of committees that have to be addressed in addition to the boards themselves. So it's a lot of details.
And you need the membership's approval on both ends in order for this to be effectuated?
We want the membership's approval on both ends for this to be there. And I think at least from early indications I think it'll be forthcoming.
And the other thing to add to this is that this kind of a hybrid association, joining together two different sectors of an industry, is not unique. CASRO and MRA are not establishing a new order that hasn't been tried before. So we are benchmarking against other similar models, not necessarily even within the research industry, but to learn about how that process works and make better decisions about that.
Finally, one of the things that it seems to me could result from this merger is a more open, if not open, attitude about bringing in other players who are clearly, in my mind, part of the research marketplace now. For instance, big data, but companies that you just ordinarily wouldn't think of as in the market research industry, and yet they clearly are. And the reason I bring this up is that, classic example, Diane, is that it took CASRO a great deal of infighting in order to get online research into the CASRO organization. I know it was a difficult thing to work through, but I'm assuming that it's going to be much less difficult to affect the kind of things I'm suggesting.
Yes, that's a really good point. And there seems to be this conflict between the way traditional research is based on rigor and scientific evidence and all of the principles that our CASRO code and the MRA code are based upon. What we're saying moving forward is that businesses are already moving in a new direction. CASRO represents businesses. We need to understand how we can help our members change their business models and their portfolio, but do it with the same kind of integrity and transparency. Maybe some of the principles will have to be adapted, but the principles in terms of integrity and ethics will be the same. So it might be a different code. It might be an adjusted code, but we know there needs to be some changes.
David?
Bob, there are compelling common interests that are shared by all researchers, regardless of the mode or methodology that they're involved in and are specialized in. All of them need legal assistance, legal protection, legal defense. All of them need image of the industry supported. All of them need the value proposition made for research in whatever form. And all of them have an interest in quality, which is where Diane was going. So we're hoping, I think, to combine that level of thinking and that level of effectiveness in those four areas as we join together for a greater good and for the economic growth of all.
Okay. I wish both of you great success in making this come together.
Thank you.
Bob.
That's your Research Business Daily Report, where we've been sponsored by Nuance, offering multi-language verbatim coding services that help companies quantify the meaning of open-ended answers. Nuance is a decision analyst company, and it wants to make it easy for you to learn more about Nuance, a terrific service. So they've created a link. It is www.nuancecoding.com. Check it out, as many others who watch RBDR have, and I think you're going to find something that could be well worth your while learning more about. Have a great research day, and we'll see you back with us tomorrow.